Hi, I'm Sarah, and I once believed my marriage to Tom was unshakable. We met in college, dated for a few years, and married in our mid-20s. Our life felt perfect. We had two wonderful children, Lily, 8, and Ben, 6, and a beautiful home in a quiet neighborhood. I worked part-time as a graphic designer, balancing motherhood, while Tom thrived in his marketing career. But slowly, cracks in our marriage started to appear. Tom was spending more time at work, often mentioning a young colleague named Tammy. At first, I didn't think much of it, just another name among his coworkers. But as weeks passed, I noticed something. He was bringing her up more often, and his work hours were stretching longer. I finally met Tammy at a company event, a vibrant 25-year-old brimming with ambition. She greeted me with a smile, but her words cut deep. "You should really step up your wife game, Sarah," she said slyly. "Someone might steal Tom away if you're not careful." Her remark caught me off guard. I tried to laugh it off, but the unease lingered. 3 months later, my worst fears were confirmed. Tom came home one night, unusually quiet. After putting the kids to bed, he sat me down and confessed. "I've been having an affair with Tammy. I'm leaving you and moving in with her." He couldn't even look at me. I was stunned. "What about our family? Lily and Ben?" I asked, my voice trembling. "I'm sorry, Sarah," he said, standing up. "But I've made up my mind. Tammy's even helped me pack." I watched in disbelief as the man I had built my life with walked out the door, Tammy by his side. She even had the nerve to make light of the situation, joking about how easy it had been to steal Tom away. I was devastated, pregnant, abandoned, and left to pick up the pieces of our shattered marriage. The divorce was swift. Tom, consumed by his affair, agreed to most of my terms. I got the house, the car, and a significant alimony settlement. We arranged 50-50 as custody of Lily and Ben, both wanting what was best for them. I tried to hold it together, putting on a brave face for my children as we adjusted to our new reality. But Tammy was relentless. She seemed to take pleasure in tormenting me, sending photos of her and Tom's engagement and pregnancy as if to remind me of her victory. One day, she sent me a sonogram picture with a smug message, "It's a boy." I couldn't help myself. I replied, "Congratulations. Let's hope he doesn't inherit his father's cheating tendencies." The fallout was immediate. Tom called me the next day, furious. "That was uncalled for, Sarah." "Uncalled for?" I snapped. "She's been rubbing this in my face for months, Tom. I'm done." "You could at least try to show some empathy," he retorted. "Empathy?" I shot back. "She destroyed our family, Tom. I owe her nothing." I hung up, seething. Months passed, and Tammy's pregnancy became another source of tension. Then, one December evening, I got a call from her. She was hysterical. "We lost the baby, Sarah, and it's all your fault. You're heartless," she screamed. I took a deep breath, trying to remain calm. "I'm sorry for your loss, Tammy, but that's not my fault. I have no interest in your life outside of our shared custody." But Tom expected me to show sympathy. But I had no empathy left to give. I reminded Tom that, aside from our children, I had no interest in his or Tammy's life. Even my ex-in-laws suggested I should show compassion for the sake of the kids, but I couldn't bring myself to care. A few days later, Tammy showed up at my house. Her eyes were red and swollen from crying. "I'm so sorry, Sarah," she sobbed. "I think the miscarriage was karma for everything I've done. Can we be friends?" I was taken aback. "Get off my property," I said coldly, dialing the police. I also called my brother, Mark, who arrived swiftly. Tammy was still crying when the police arrived. "Sarah, please, I just need someone to talk to." "I'm not that person," I said firmly. The police escorted her off my property, and I turned to Mark. "Are you okay?" he asked, concern etched across his face. "I'm fine," I replied. I just can't believe her nerve. Tom arrived soon after to take Tammy home. We stood on the porch, the tension between us palpable. "The kids should stay with me until things stabilize," I said. "Agreed," Tom replied, his shoulders slumped. "I'm sorry about all this, Sarah." "It's not your apology I need," I said, watching him drive away with a broken Tammy in the passenger seat. As they left, I felt a sense of resolution. I had survived the worst betrayal imaginable, and now I was determined to protect my children and reclaim my life, free from the toxic presence of Tom and Tammy. But deep down, I knew this wasn't over. Tammy's mental state was deteriorating, and I had to consider my next steps carefully. Full custody and a restraining order were on my mind. I needed to ensure my children were safe and that the hard-won peace in my life wouldn't be shattered again. The next few weeks were tense. Tammy continued to spiral, sending erratic messages and even showing up at my kids' school. I realized it was time to take legal action. I consulted a lawyer about filing for full custody and obtaining a restraining order against Tammy. "You have a strong case, Sarah," my lawyer said. "Given her unstable behavior, the court will likely side with you." I felt a surge of relief, but I knew the battle wasn't over. Tom tried to reach out multiple times, attempting to reconnect. "We need to talk," he said one evening after dropping off the kids. "There's nothing to talk about, Tom. We'll communicate about the kids and nothing else," I said firmly. "But we were good together once," he insisted. "That's in the past. My only concern now is our children," I replied, closing the door on any hope he had of reconciliation. The legal process was grueling. I gathered evidence of Tammy's harassment and Tom's neglect during her episodes. Court days were filled with tension, but I stayed focused on my goal, protecting Lily and Ben. Finally, the judge ruled in my favor. I was granted full custody, and a restraining order was issued against Tammy. As I left the courtroom, I felt a weight lift off my shoulders. I had fought for my children's safety and my own peace of mind, and won. Back at home, I hugged Lily and Ben tightly. "We're going to be okay," I whispered, feeling a sense of calm for the first time in months. The victory was bittersweet, but it was still a victory. I had been betrayed, but I refused to be broken. My new journey was just beginning. Winning full custody of Lily and Ben was a huge relief, but the struggle wasn't entirely over. Tammy's presence lingered in our lives like a bad dream that refused to end. Despite the restraining order, she continued to try and insert herself into our daily routines. One afternoon, I received a frantic call from Tom. "Sarah, I just found Tammy sitting in her car outside my office. She's refusing to leave," he said, his voice tight with anxiety. "I'll call the police," I replied, already dialing. "She's violating the restraining order. This needs to stop." The police arrived quickly and escorted Tammy away. She was warned that any further violations would lead to serious consequences. Despite everything, I felt a pang of pity for Tammy. She was clearly in a lot of pain, but I couldn't allow her to disrupt our lives any longer. Meanwhile, my relationship with Tom had settled into a tense but functional co-parenting arrangement. He was still grappling with the fallout from his relationship with Tammy, but we managed to keep things civil for the sake of the kids. One evening, after the kids were in bed, Tom and I sat down to talk. "How are you holding up?" I asked, trying to keep the conversation light. "It's been tough," Tom admitted. "I never expected things to get this bad with Tammy. I'm just trying to focus on the kids and work." "I get it," I said. "But we need to make sure she stays away from us for everyone's sake." "I know," he sighed. "I'm working on it. I've been looking into getting her more intensive therapy." As the weeks passed, Tammy's presence became less frequent, and the kids began adjusting to our new routine. But it wasn't long before another issue arose. Tom showed up at my house one evening looking more disheveled than usual. "Sarah, I need to talk to you about something," he said, glancing nervously at the kids playing in the living room. "Let's go outside," I suggested, leading him to the porch. "What's going on?" "I've been thinking about moving away," Tom said, his voice heavy with resignation. "I think it might be the best thing for everyone, a fresh start." "Are you serious?" I asked, shocked. "What about Lily and Ben?" "I would still visit regularly, but I think they need stability, and I'm not sure I can provide that right now," he admitted. I took a deep breath, processing his words. "If you think it's what's best, I won't stop you. But you need to be sure this is what you want." "I am," Tom said, his eyes filled with regret. "I've made a lot of mistakes, and I need to fix my life before I can be a good father to them." After Tom moved, things began to settle down. The kids and I established a new routine, and Tom kept his promise to visit regularly. It was hard for them to understand at first, but eventually they adjusted. I focused on providing them with a stable, loving home. One day, while I was making dinner, Lily came into the kitchen, looking thoughtful. "Mom, do you think Dad will be okay?" she asked. "I think he will, sweetheart," I replied, kneeling down to her level. "He's trying to get better, And sometimes people need a little time to figure things out. I miss him, Ben added, joining us. But I like being here with you too. I know, I said, having them both. We're going to be okay. We're a team, remember? As time went on, Tom began to stabilize. He found a job in another city and seemed to be doing better. His visits became more consistent, and he was slowly rebuilding his relationship with Lily and Ben. One evening, after Tom had visited the kids, he pulled me aside. "Thank you, Sarah," he said quietly, "for everything. For being there for the kids, for putting up with all of this. It's what they need," I replied. "And they need you too. So keep working on yourself. They deserve the best version of you." "I will," Tom promised. "I'm getting there." As I watched him drive away, I felt a sense of closure. The journey had been long and painful, but we were finally finding a way forward. Tammy had faded into the background, receiving the help she desperately needed. Tom was on the path to recovery, and our children were thriving in a stable environment. For the first time in a long while, I felt hopeful about the future. I had faced betrayal and heartache, but I had come out stronger on the other side. My focus was now on building a happy, healthy life for my children and myself. The past was behind us, and we were ready to embrace whatever came next. Now here's a question for you. If you were in Sarah's position, would you have shown any empathy toward Tammy after she lost her baby, considering all the pain she caused? Or do you think Sarah was right to keep her distance and focus solely on her children? We'd love to hear your thoughts, so please leave your comments below. Hi everyone, I'm Anna, a 28-year-old marketing executive, and I'm on cloud 9 planning my dream wedding with my little sister, Sophia, by my side. We've always been as close as can be, sharing everything from our favorite lipsticks to our deepest secrets. So when I got engaged, there was no question that Sophia would be my maid of honor. "Sis, we're going to make this the wedding of the century," Sophia squealed when I asked her. For months, we were inseparable, poring over every detail. From the venue, a stunning vineyard I'd been dreaming of since I was little, to the decor and the perfect playlist. "Anna, this place is perfect," my mom Lisa gushed during our first visit. My dad nodded in agreement, adding, "Your mother and I couldn't be prouder of you girls." Everything seemed to be falling into place. We picked out stunning bridesmaids' dresses, finalized an incredible menu, and even managed to create a seating chart that would make a professional planner weep with joy. Sophia was right there with me, offering support and ideas every step of the way. But then things started to change. It began with small comments here and there. During my final dress fitting, Sophia wrinkled her nose and said, "Are you sure about this style? It seems a bit dated." I laughed it off, blaming it on pre-wedding jitters, but the remarks kept coming. At our menu tasting, she pushed her plate away with a grimace. "Who picks chicken for a wedding these days? So basic." I tried to brush it off with a joke. "Good thing it's my wedding, right?" The real blow came during a quiet coffee break. Just the two of us, after a long day of planning. "Anna," she began, her voice dripping with concern that felt anything but genuine, "are you really sure about David? I mean, you could do so much better." That stung. David was my rock, my soulmate, and hearing my own sister question our relationship felt like a punch to the gut. "Sophia, what's going on with you lately?" I asked, trying to keep my cool. She shrugged, suddenly very interested in her latte. "Just looking out for you, sis." I wanted to believe her, to think that this was all coming from a place of love. But deep down, I knew something was off. As the big day got closer, her behavior became even more erratic. She canceled dress fittings at the last minute, forgot to send out invitations, and even started picking fights with our parents over the smallest things. One day, I overheard her yelling, "Mom, you can't wear that to the rehearsal dinner. You'll embarrass us all." I tried to talk to her about it, but she'd always deflect. "Oh, Anna, you're just stressed about the wedding. Everything's fine." But it wasn't fine, not by a long shot. Little did I know, Sophia was about to drop a bombshell that would turn my perfect wedding plans into a complete disaster. If only I'd seen the signs earlier, I might have been better prepared. It all came to a head during our final walkthrough at the vineyard. David, Emma, and I were admiring the reception setup when Sophia burst through the door, her face streaked with mascara. "Anna, you need to give me this venue right now," she screamed, her voice echoing through the empty hall. I froze, completely stunned. "What are you talking about? My news is way more important than your stupid wedding." She spat, glaring at David. "I'm pregnant, and I need to announce it before I start showing. This venue is perfect for my engagement party. Emma, always the peacemaker, stepped forward. Sophia, honey, let's talk about this calmly. Shut up, Emma. This isn't about you. Sophia snapped, turning to Mr. Johnson, the vineyard owner. I'll pay double, no, triple what they're paying if you kick them out right now. Mr. Johnson's eyes widened, but he stood firm. Miss, I'm afraid that's not possible. We have a contract. Screw your contract. Sophia yelled, then turned back to me. Anna, if you don't give me this venue, I swear I'll tell everyone about that time in college when you... That's enough. David interrupted, his face red with anger. Sophia, you need to leave. Now. Sophia laughed bitterly. Oh, look who's playing the hero. You think you're so perfect for my sister. I got news for you, buddy, Anna's bean. Stop it, Sophia. Just stop. I shouted, my voice shaking. What's wrong with you? What's wrong with me? What's wrong with you? She screamed back. You've always had everything handed to you on a silver platter. It's my turn now. I tried to reason with her. Sophia, we've spent months planning this. We've invested so much time and money. Can we talk about this after the wedding? No, it has to be now, she insisted, grabbing my arm. You owe me this, Anna, after everything I've done for you. David stepped between us. Let go of her, Sophia. You're not thinking straight. Don't touch me, you loser, she shrieked, pushing him away. Anna, if you don't give me this venue right now, I'll make sure everyone knows what a fraud you really are. That's when I lost it. What fraud? What are you talking about? Oh please, Sophia sneered. Little Miss Perfect with her perfect job and perfect fiancé. If they only knew the real you. My heart was pounding. Sophia, you're not making any sense. Please, let's just talk about this calmly. But there was no reasoning with her. In a flash, she slapped me, the sound echoing through the hall. Gasps filled the air as Emma rushed to my side, and David held Sophia back. That's it, Mr. Johnson said firmly. Miss, I'm going to have to ask you to leave the premises. Sophia struggled against David's grip. You can't do this to me, I'm family. Family doesn't act like this, I whispered, my cheeks still stinging as security escorted her out. Her screams faded into the distance, leaving me standing there, shell-shocked and struggling to process what had just happened. Mr. Johnson approached, his face full of concern. Miss Anna, I assure you, your wedding will proceed as planned. We don't tolerate this kind of behavior here. I nodded numbly, grateful for his support but devastated by my sister's betrayal. As David wrapped his arms around me, I couldn't help but wonder how we'd gone from sharing secrets to this nightmare in the blink of an eye. The next morning, I woke up with a mix of excitement and dread. After Sophia's meltdown, I was on edge, but determined to have my perfect day, come hell or high water. Emma, you're my maid of honor now, I said, hugging my best friend tightly. I've got your back, girl. No crazy sisters allowed, Emma replied, squeezing my hand. I gave strict instructions to the security team. If Sophia showed up, she was not to be let in, no exceptions. As guests began to arrive, I overheard my parents arguing in hushed tones. Tom, we can't just pretend nothing happened, my mom whispered. I know, Lisa, but it's Anna's day. We need to focus on her, my dad replied with a sigh. I took a deep breath and stepped out, ready to walk down the aisle. The moment I saw David, all my worries melted away. His smile could light up the darkest room. Just as we were about to exchange vows, a commotion erupted at the back of the venue. I object. Sophia's shrill voice cut through the air like a knife. I turned, my heart sinking. There she was, stumbling down the aisle in a tattered white dress that looked like it had been through a war. This wedding is a sham, she slurred, clearly drunk. Security rushed toward her, but Sophia was faster. She grabbed a tablecloth, sending champagne flutes crashing to the ground. Sophia, please, Mom cried out. Don't do this. But Sophia was on a rampage. She lunged at the wedding cake, toppling it over in a spray of frosting and tears. You think you're so perfect, Anna, she screamed. Well, guess what? I lied. I'm not pregnant. I'm not even engaged. The crowd gasped. I spotted Mark, Sophia's boyfriend, his face a mask of shock and anger. What did you just say? He demanded, pushing through the crowd. Sophia laughed hysterically. Oh, Marky Mark, did you really think I'd marry you? You're just a stepping stone, baby. Mark's face turned crimson. We're done, Sophia. For good this time. As security finally got a hold of her, Sophia started hurling insults at everyone in sight. Mom, Dad, you always loved Anna more. And you, Emma, you backstabbing witch. She even turned on our childhood friends. Jenny, remember when you kissed Tommy in 8th grade? Well, guess what? He told me it was like kissing a fish. As they dragged her away, Sophie locked eyes with me. I hope you're happy, Anna. You've ruined everything. The venue fell silent. I could feel hundreds of eyes on me, waiting to see what I'd do next. David squeezed my hand, his touch grounding me. I turned to her efficient, my voice steady. Shall we continue? A murmur of approval rippled through the crowd as we resumed our vows. I could see the mix of emotions on everyone's faces: shock, sympathy, and admiration. I, Anna, take you, David, to be my lawfully wedded husband, I said, my voice growing stronger with each word. Through crazy sisters and toppled cakes, through laughter and tears, I promise to stand by you always. David's eyes sparkled as he repeated his vows. When we sealed our marriage with a kiss, the venue erupted in cheers and applause. Emma approached us, cake frosting smeared on her dress. Now that's what I call a wedding to remember. We all burst out laughing, the tension finally breaking. As I looked around at our friends and family, I realized that this disaster had only made our bond stronger. Sophia's antics couldn't overshadow the love that filled the room. In that moment, I knew David and I could handle anything life threw our way. Coming back from our honeymoon, I didn't expect the whirlwind waiting for us. Our phones were blowing up with messages and calls. David, look at this, I said, showing him a viral video of Sophia's meltdown at our wedding. He whistled low. That's something my parents said when they called, their voices exhausted. Anna, we've made a decision, Mom said. We're cutting Sophia off until she gets help. We can't enable this behavior anymore. I felt a mix of relief and sadness. I think that's for the best, Mom. The support pouring in from friends, family, and even strangers was overwhelming. People praised my composure and friends rallied around us. Even my boss called. Anna, the way you handled that situation was impressive. How would you feel about heading up our new crisis management division? Life was looking up. David and I found our dream home, a cozy bungalow with a white picket fence. As we moved in, I couldn't help but feel grateful for how things had turned out. Months passed and Sophia's life took a nosedive. She lost her job, her friends abandoned her, and she ended up living in a dingy studio apartment. Then came the attempts to apologize. Anna, please, she begged over the phone. I'm so sorry. Can we talk? But I stood firm. Sophia, I can't do this anymore. You need help, but I can't be the one to give it to you. It wasn't easy, but I knew it was necessary. The old pattern of manipulation was clear as day now. Then came the night that changed everything. David and I were watching the local news when a familiar face flashed on the screen. In a bizarre turn of events, a woman was arrested for attempting to crash a wedding at the Sunnybrook Vineyard, the anchor reported. The woman, identified as Sophia Johnson, claimed the venue was rightfully hers and became violent when asked to leave. I sat there stunned. David squeezed my hand. You okay? I nodded slowly. Yeah, I think I am. As I watched Sophia being led away in handcuffs, screaming about injustice, I felt a strange mix of emotions. Sadness for the sister I once knew, relief that she was finally facing consequences, and a sense of closure. You know, I said to David, I think this is the end of a chapter. He pulled me close, and the beginning of a new one. Looking around our home at the life we were building together, I realized how far I'd come. The betrayal had hurt, but it hadn't broken me. Instead, it had made me stronger, more resilient. As I turned off the TV, I silently thanked Sophia. Her actions, as hurtful as they were, had led me here, to a life full of genuine love, support, and success. And that, I realized, was the sweetest revenge of all. The story has come to an end, and now I have a question for you. If you were in my shoes, would you ever forgive Sophia? Is there a line that, once crossed, makes reconciliation impossible, even with family? Share your thoughts and experiences in the comments.